crazy bad motherfucker. What's up, everybody? Working Finance Podcast.
He's very unassuming. Like, it was 1 year before WrestleMania. Me and a friend of ours were leaving the Hartford airport to go down to, I think it was New Orleans that year. Bob Backlund in the airport, working out before the flight. Like, I almost didn't want to interrupt him because he looked so serious. But welcome back to episode 212 of the Working Fans Podcast. We have a lot to talk about on this holiday week because not only did All In happen last weekend, we have All Out this weekend and WWE Payback. So, guys, let's start at the top. All In. Let's talk about the show before we talk about the controversies. What did you think about it as a show, given that we had such little kind of lead up to it?
All In, I thought was fine. All In, I enjoyed. All Out's the one that's suffering, as we'll get to that.
It's appropriately named All Out because I think everybody's all out of actually purchasing it. Yeah. I don't think anybody has any intention of buying this pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, it's just too much back to back without any real plan. But All In itself was fine. I loved that it was in Wembley Stadium. It gave me totally SummerSlam 92 vibes. That stadium hasn't changed much in terms of the look. I thought it was very similar. Maybe Tony Khan even helped set it up like that a little bit because we know Tony Khan's an old school fan.
The cool thing was Nigel McGuinness actually sharing his memories because he was at the SummerSlam as a fan, as a young man. And he got to share his impressions, how that made him want to become a wrestler. It was very similar to the way Edge talks about how he became a wrestler and how he was influenced by the WWE coming to Toronto. And Nigel getting to share that memory and talking about watching the Bulldog versus Brett and what that meant to him. It was definitely a fun aspect of the show.
No doubt. And you know what's interesting too? Joe alluded to it. We'll talk about the controversy a little bit later with CM Punk and Jack Perry.
But what happened with CM Punk and Jack Perry?
What was really amazing though was how well CM Punk and Samoa Joe performed. Like, that was one of my favorite matches. And of course, one of my all-time favorite stuff was the Hulk Hogan spot that they did together too. But
that Hulk Hogan spot was amazing.
That was hilarious. Joe hulking up is selling in the crowd when he points at you, like, just good stuff. Joe,
very seldom do you see both people actually play the Hulk Hogan part.
Right.
CM Punk played it with his hand to his ear, and then they actually switched to his Hogan. It was fantastic.
Well, I thought for sure he was about to do a 5-knuckle shuffle, and I was like, that would be insane. Like, I love that match as an opening. Like, the pre-show was great. Like, they went an hour longer, which I could do without all the talking, but you got the MJF Adam Cole win.
Yeah.
The rest of the matches, Jack Perry did what he did. I thought that match was decent, but when I heard that comment, to me, it felt like a move too much from him. But then immediately going into opening the show with Punk and Joe, that was, I think, the best way you could have done it. I really like the way the show was paced.
Well, and I don't know how you're not going to mention the greatest kangaroo kick of all time. It's not every day you see a move like that executed with such precision. But yeah. I was happy to see them as the Ring of Honor champions, tag team champions.
When later on, Adam Cole really put that over when he threw the belt on the ground and get that shit away from me. I thought that was really good too.
Well, all right. There's actually something about that kangaroo kick I saw this week, and I don't know how true this is, but I saw it on the Pro Wrestling World on Facebook, and that's MJF's kangaroo kick is actually a reference to fellow Jewish wrestler and legend, the Hebrew Hercules, Abe Coleman, known for inventing the drop kick. And when you see his drop kick, it's kind of that flat back, 2 legs out kick like that. So if that is really a reference to another Jewish wrestler, that is like MJF is operating at a different level with that.
Well, the weird thing is he said it was his tribute to Outback Jack. So who I'm pretty sure was not Jewish and ended up in a lot of law problems.
So I'll tell you what, one thing before because I think we don't need to go over every match. We're going to preview All Out and we're going to preview Payback. One other thing I just want to comment all in. One thing we did get wrong that I'm shocked. FTR walked out with the championships. Apparently, maybe they're confident that nothing's going to happen from this. I wasn't mad at it, but just with the legal action and everything going on, I thought for sure Bucks are walking out with this.
The funny thing is, as I'm watching it and as I see it unfold, I'm sitting there going, well, hell, this is the one thing we got wrong, and it's the one thing I wanted to be wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not, it worked out well. The only thing I'm not happy about is the only thing I'm not happy about is it's leading to an 8-man tag on the next pay-per-view.
We'll talk about that.
Oh my gosh.
So
nothing sells a pay-per-view like a good 8-man tag.
Yeah, no, Joe, it was definitely probably my favorite match. That Joe and Punk were probably my favorite matches, along with the main event, because such a good job MJF and Cole are doing with the actual story of this.
They actually did a great job with the women's match, considering they only gave it 9 minutes.
It was a hell of a moment.
I was about to ask, was the Saraya moment, did that trump her winning the match? Because it's such a big moment and it was great for Wembley, but I don't know if her as champion is the best decision.
Even her coming out the way she did with her family, and actually giving a nod to British local wrestling by doing that, even that moment was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, they just didn't give them enough time. That's out of all the time that they had for wrestling in that evening, the women had literally 9 minutes. Yeah. I don't think it was fair. You have a lot of talent in that ring. They could have went a lot farther. So I don't blame the women if they were a little pissed off.
One thing that I do want to mention about All In, great Bray Wyatt tributes. They started off the broadcast, the pre-show, with the Bray Wyatt quote that he had about wrestling that week. And then you saw the Firefly tributes, the House of Black. Even though he wasn't in their company, it was great to see the way that he was honored that week.
One other thing too, Joe, last week we did our tributes to Bray and Terry. I have to say, I was actually, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, obviously, very pleased that the WWE, obviously we're going to do a tribute to Bray, but to do an equal one almost of Terry, where they had video packages of up and they put their pictures side by side. That was a nice touch. It could have been very easy for a big company just to go, okay, we'll put something small about Terry. They made sure to get a couple segments in and stuff, and I thought that was a nice touch.
I actually heard that Terry Funk was actually not going to pass away, but he found out that his horse was sick in heaven, so he had to go to check on him.
Horse is
That's
sick?
A little inside humor for those of us who know how he left the WWE the first time.
Survivor Series.
Yes.
Yeah, not the first. Yeah.
I got to ask, when do you see Bray Wyatt going into the Hall of Fame now? Does he go into the Hall of Fame?
Could be this year. I could see that happening. Yeah, I can imagine almost similar to like Eddie Guerrero type thing. That would be my guess.
They should put him in this year. I mean, he's a former world champion. He made his mark on the industry, and if it's not for illness, Lord knows what he would have continued to do.
Now, wrapping up thoughts on All In, what do you guys, before we talk about the controversy, overall thoughts about the All In show? I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
A match
vibes, and it was fun.
Well, a match that we haven't mentioned that I genuinely enjoyed was the Jericho match. I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought the two of them put on one hell of a show. We talked about it beforehand. And I honestly believe that it did go to the next level. What were your thoughts on the match?
Will Ospreay is one of the best in the world. I picked him to win, but I was a little concerned being a New Japan talent that they might not put him over in the situation.
I think AEW is going to try and get him when his contract runs out with New Japan.
Absolutely. And I think as long as Hunter is making a lot of decisions in WWE, Will Ospreay is a very lucky man because I think he's going to have a lot of offers coming his way very, very soon.
Yeah, especially now that he's changed his style a little bit. He still does some of the aerial stuff, but he has changed his style to more of a safe for his own body style. And it's made differences in his match and in his storytelling also, quite frankly.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, we got to see the story continue on. this week on Dynamite with Sammy Guevara and Jericho, which of course will lead to a big tag.
They're about to win the tag titles
next week on Dynamite. There's no tag title.
Yeah, they're going to win the tag titles, absolutely.
But I think Joe wants us to talk about the controversy between CM Punk and Jack Perry.
I'm going to ask a silly question.
Sure.
I didn't watch the pre-show.
I got something quick to say. I'm really pumped up about this controversy. And you know what else gets me this jacked up about life? Oh, man. AJ,
you're talking about Dubby, baby. I take it before every show. It gets me amped up, gets me fired up. If I was Billy Gunn, I'd be scissoring everybody, Daddy. That is how great it is. Use the code FANSWORKING on their site. Save 10% by using that, and you'll have so much energy, and it will be jitter-free. You'll love it, baby. And then just write back and tell us thank you for giving you that 10% off.
Go to w.gg, use the code FANSWORKING, get AJ's favorite, the Calio cream. You can get the peach and peach. There's so many flavors, shakers. Go get them there. But I don't know if we're as pumped up as CM Punk was when Jack Perry came through that curtain.
So
go ahead.
Like I was saying, I did not watch the pre-show. I saw the tag match from the pre-show. I didn't see what Jack Perry did. What happened that led to this?
So you may have to go back a couple weeks for this. So apparently, and Joe can correct me on this if I'm wrong with anything, CM Punk had vetoed an idea that Jack Perry wanted to use this spot in a match on Collision a few weeks ago using real glass for a match. And Punk, and along with a few agents, thought, no, that's not a good idea. We don't use real glass.
Why in the hell would you want to use real glass?
That seems to be the big question. But now in the pre-show, Perry wrestled Hook. They did a spot where Perry had basically put Hook, I believe, actually through the glass. They both went to the glass kind of the windshield. Hook was cut up a little bit, and Perry looked in the camera and said, it's real glass, cry me a river.
All right, so Jack Perry got driven out in a... Jim Ross disputed the length of this limo, but it was a limo.
Yes.
They parked it on the stage. They fought. Before they did a spot on the hood of the car, Jack Perry did tap the glass and say, it's real glass, cry me a river. And then went to do a suplex. They reversed it. Jack Perry got suplexed on the glass. It did cut him a little bit. There was a nice rolling thunder on the top of that limo as well.
Now, the story goes, basically, Jack Perry gets into the back, and depending on who you believe, Punk or Jack initiated a verbal conversation. It went something basically like this. Punk, you got something to say to me? And Jack, basically, depending on who you believe, he said, you heard me out there. Or Jack shoved him and said, do something about it. And regardless of who started it, basically the one thing that seems to be pretty consistent was Punk at this point put him in a chokehold, and it quickly got broken up. And that's kind of where we are, and both are suspended as of right now, according to sources everywhere.
Well, they're both idiots, because that doesn't need to happen. You're not in a program with each other. You didn't actually do anything to each other other than a couple verbal barbs. There's no reason for that whatsoever. It's unprofessional. CM Punk, now you've been in multiple occasions where you're in pull aparts. You just got back, for Christ's sakes. You have a hot angle going into All Out, which now has nothing. So you've also ruined a spot for Ricky Starks, where now he's got to be in the ring with a 70-year-old man who's only worked once in the last 6 years. So nothing against Ricky Steamboat. We love Ricky Steamboat. This is not the Dragon Ricky Steamboat. This is a Methuselah Ricky Steamboat. This is not the same freaking, for those of you who don't know, Methuselah was a really old man. Sorry to have to educate everybody out there. Look it up, read a book.
Buddhism.
But the point behind this is he has no reason to actually be in this match with Ricky Stark, other than the fact that CM Punk can't control himself and Jack Perry's a little bitch.
Now, I got to ask you, AJ, because you've been in the wrestling business, so you've been closer to this than we have. But if you're CM Punk and you have these people that are habitually stepping over the line with you, what is the best way wrestling-wise to take care of it? Because
so the best way to
some
do
people
this is to
outside
actually
it would think that maybe it's some kind of physical altercation, like showing them that you're not going to be bullied.
So in 1995, a physical altercation might be fine because there's not going to be everybody recording everything that you're doing and sending it out to the internet every 2 seconds. However, these days, you want to get even with them? Here's what you do. Create an actual storyline, get in the ring with them, and you can give them a receipt that way sometime during the match. That way, at least you're telling a story and selling seats at the same time. What they did sold no seats whatsoever. Jack Perry, first of all, unprofessional to say it's real glass, it's Cry Me a River. First of all, other than the person you're directing it at, nobody has a clue what the hell you're talking about. That's it does nothing for the storyline that he's in. You're a young talent, Jack. You're supposed to be one of the pillars going forward of this organization, and you just cut one of the pillars out because you showed that you're still a child.
Well, yeah, I gotta ask, what about the face-to-face confrontation in the back where supposedly it was Punk saying, "Do you have something to say?" and Jack Perry responding with, "Do something about it."
Well, and the reason why he said, "Do you have something to say?" and I'm going to be honest with you. This is wrestling's different. It's not like you're working at fucking Home Depot, pardon my French, and somebody said something to you on the loading dock.
Oh, glass, get over it. It's Home Depot, bro.
Yeah. When you work in professional wrestling, you got a bunch of guys that are jacked up, testosterone's flying. Punk is already getting ready for his match. Mm-hmm. So, and now all of a sudden he's got some kid coming back and he's making, doing live TV and saying things to him that are messages that only are to him, instead of coming back and saying, "Hey, Punk, why did you have a problem with the glass? Can we talk about this?" Instead of handling it like a professional like that, he's actually come to the back now after shooting this spot. I don't blame Punk for being upset. What I blame Punk for is letting it get physical.
Right. Yeah.
First of all, Punk is a trained MMA fighter. Whether he did well or not in MMA, he's a trained MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Jack Perry is not a trained MMA fighter. Jack Perry's lucky if he can fight his hairdresser that takes care of his hair.
So
well, I was listening to Jim Cornette, and he described the possible choking situation as he described it as the goozle. So basically just Punk grabbing Jack Perry by the neck and jacking him up against the wall. So I guess we have to find out like what happened as time went on.
Right.
The facts are nobody handled this well, but I don't blame Punk necessarily for how he responded.
I don't fully blame either one of them. I blame Tony Khan for the what he's actually set up for backstage. What is reasonable behavior in his company? As a manager, as somebody who has run businesses and has had 120 employees working for me at different times, I can tell you it's all about the culture that you set up in your business. Tony Khan has set up this culture and has since said, quite frankly, I'm not sure this is a bad thing. It's a bad thing, Tony. You're wrong.
So you're a professional organization. You're a business. You want to get rid of this stuff. We'll close on this because I know we're taking a while here. Yeah. But basically, I think they said on the Cornette podcast too. Jack Perry, you're a mid-card talent. All right. Back in the old day, if you had done something like this, you said something snide like this to Hogan, you would have probably been fired. It just would have been fired. It wouldn't happen. As for Punk, the situation with Punk, I don't blame him. I understand him, but you are at fault because given the situation that you've put yourself in, you need to de-escalate the situation. You need to back away. Throwing a guy in a chokehold and asking if you got something. As soon as he comes back and you ask him if he's got something to say to you, bro, just walk away.
I just want you to imagine something real quick. Okay. Imagine Shelton Benjamin, and we love Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin has had enough and decides he's going to say something directly to Roman Reigns into that camera lens What do you think happens when he comes back through that curtain?
It's fired. It's done.
Yeah, he's never going to see Roman Reigns. Yeah, he's never going to see Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns isn't going to come to him and say something. He's going to see Triple H as he comes through that curtain, and he's going to be going to get his bags and take his car ride home.
Right. He's like, I got to deal with this. And they're going to go, absolutely not.
Well, I got to admit, I'm a little weirded out now that my management style seems to match CM Punk's a little bit. But before we move on to the last segment of the day, I want to mention that on YouTube, we are so close to 2,500 subscribers. So if you are watching this right now, chances are you are not a subscriber. Click the subscribe button if you just want to catch more of this. It does so much for us as a podcast, especially if you share this video. But just help us get over 25, and we're hoping to get on to 55 after that. We are big wrestling fans.
If you go on there and you subscribe to our YouTube channel, I will do a special video once we get to 2,500 explaining to you who Methuselah is.
Ooh. Now, everybody is on the edge of their seats for that. And I have to admit that as much as did we even talk about All Out yet?
Not really. We've got.
Let's get into All Out because we got to talk about All Out before we get to WWE Payback. Right. And one of the things is so much wrestling in such a busy week. You thought All In wasn't built up well. All Out seems to be built up even less.
All right, so I'm just going to do some quick predictions on this show because we got to get to WWE Payback too. So
which actually has been built up.
Yes. So let's get to it. Number one, Luchasaurus defended that TNT title, or is it Christian's TNT title, versus Darby Allin. This is actually one of the better built matches. Darby Allin walking out with TNT Championship. Agree or disagree?
I'm going Luchasaurus.
Okay, my man. Wow, dinosaur. Walk like a dinosaur.
I think Christian walks out with it thanks to Luchasaurus' hard work.
Miro Powerhouse Hobbs.
I think
Willie Hobbs, baby.
Well, the problem is I got to go Hobbs on this one because we don't ever see Miro.
Yeah, he's a Collision guy.
Well, no, I watch Collision, and even there you get like a 2-minute snippet with him sometimes. But other than that, you don't see much.
Ruby Soho Statlander.
I'm hoping for Ruby Soho.
Okay.
I like Statlander. I do. I'm hoping for Soho, but I think in my heart, Statlander's going to hold on to the belt.
A match that could end up being the main event. Orange Cassidy defends the International Championship against Jon Moxley.
Oh, that's not the main event. But I'm going Jon Moxley. I mean, how often does a champion have to fight in a match so that he actually qualifies to fight a challenger?
It's time for Moxley.
I agree. All right, Omega, Takeshita. I think we said this last week. Takeshita would probably score the win in the tag match. To get this match, he did. But I think we both agree that's where this ends. Omega gets the win. Continuing on, an 8-man tag, FTR and the Bucks. I don't know why.
They set it up so well. This is the one we're all looking forward to.
I was going to ask because I missed Dynamite this week because of a heavy work week. It's a holiday week, as me and Dave will tell you.
Segment.
Last big holiday of the year. But how did this come about?
Backstage segment.
Yeah, it was just a backstage segment where FTR was talking to the Bucks, and the Golden Shower came in to talk to him.
Yeah, they confronted him, said this was the winner's circle, and the Bucks should probably get out of here. And then this basically led to an 8-man tag because the Bucks did apologize for not shaking FTR's hand. And so,
which leads me to believe that something will actually happen in the 8-man that's going to lead to Bucks versus FTR again.
I was going to say I thought I needed to catch up on Dynamite, but that makes me not want to watch it at all.
No. Here's what Joe will like coming up, though. Not everybody's going to know about, but Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor won a little mini tournament, and he's fighting Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah, I got Samoa Joe all day, but this should be a fun match.
I have Samoa Joe also, but let me tell you something. If I was to buy this pay-per-view, this would be the match that made me want to buy it.
Shane Taylor is going to win, and that's going to spin Samoa Joe off into something else.
We'll see. Eddie Kingston and Shibata versus Claudio and Yuta. Should be a fun tag match. I'm going to go with Eddie getting the pin on Claudio to help set up that Ring of Honor title match.
I was going to say, I would like to say we need to stop with these tag matches and get everybody else involved. We need to get to Eddie Kingston and Claudio. We just need to get this done. But I'm going with Eddie Kingston again.
This is going to be an Eddie Kingston win, and it's going to set up Eddie versus Claudio for Final Battle.
All right, since we don't know if Ricky Steamboat's actually going to wrestle Ricky Starks on the pay-per-view yet, we won't be previewing that. We have one more match to preview. Small spoiler coming out here for you fans, but it is official. Better Than You, baby. Adam Cole and MJF. AJ, do you even know this? They're defending the tag titles against? Do you know this?
Well, wait a minute. I thought that they had to have the Battle Royal tonight.
That's a small spoiler.
No, I don't watch the spoilers ahead of time. I don't know who
I found out by accident, and I knew we would be reviewing this. So take a guess. I'm sorry we're going to ruin this a little bit, but take a guess.
I don't even know the teams that are in it, but I'm going to go with the Empire.
You mean the Kingdom? The
Kingdom, sorry.
Yes, that's what makes the most sense. Taven and Bennett, right?
Yeah.
They're not even in the Battle Royal, so
why would they? Why would they be in there?
This was driving Alvarez and Melcher crazy. I kind of got to agree with him, but MJF will be on a pay-per-view defending the Ring of Honor tag titles against John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. That's the match they set up, brother.
I didn't even know the Dark Order was still together.
They're going back to.
I know they're on Ring of Honor. I know, and they've actually been more heelish as of late. Yeah, I know. So I'm looking for a double clothesline, maybe a kangaroo kick, and we'll see a finish here.
It'll be a fun match. These guys have all worked together with the Indie Circuit. How this has got booked, I don't get it. But
yeah, why would it possibly be the Kingdom?
Right. At least there's a story. Right. Whatever. All right, folks. That's going to do it for All In. It's time. WWE Payback. Let's review this.
Which some people thought was in October, but it's here in September.
I thought that was Fastlane.
I was surprised it crept up on us like this. I assumed we had maybe a week more. I've been watching mainly SmackDown, so I haven't caught a lot of updates, but I was surprised this was this weekend.
I do like the fact that they managed to put the pay-per-views on opposite days, though. So one's on Saturday and one's on Sunday.
Yeah, that was one thing I appreciated about this. I'm going to work in reverse of Wikipedia. I'm going to start with match number 6. I don't think this is going to main event, but I think it'll be a big one. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Rhea Ripley has already said if Priest and Balor don't win, there might have to be some changes. I think we're getting an upset. I think Priest and Balor are going to win the tag titles.
I think the opposite.
Okay.
I think that Owens and Sami Zayn are going to win, and I think it's going to look like they're kicking out Finn Balor, but it's actually going to be Damian Priest going bye-bye.
Jaden, I kind of like your theory better, honestly. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Speaking of theory, Rey Mysterio defends the U.S. title against Austin Theory, and I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio because I feel like he's dropping that belt possibly to Santos. Maybe there's going to be a
I think it's only a matter of time before Santos and Rey are gonna. First of all, Santos is a much better heel than he is a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong; he's playing the babyface right now, but I want him heel so bad. I love him as a bad guy. So I'm going with Rey also.
If Theory was going to win, I think it would be to drop the title to this guy who's in the next match, LA Knight versus The Miz. I got to go LA Knight all day.
Yeah, it's got to be LA Knight. I know they say that Miz is one of those people who they put you with to see what you can actually do and make sure you're working correctly and to give you some buzz. But LA Knight's got to go over in this, especially after what Miz did on Monday, because Miz in the LA Knight character buried LA Knight.
You know what I like about this show too, guys? Only 3 more matches to go. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. Should be a fun match, but at the end, got to go Rhea Ripley.
It's a great story, though. I mean, they have the photos of them as best friends, actually all excited. When Raquel Gonzalez won her championship, Rhea Ripley was the first person there to support her. So it's going to be a fun match.
Yeah, I agree. Now, 2 more matches. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus in a steel cage. This has got to be where Becky finally gets her revenge.
Yeah, I mean, Becky already got her revenge on one of the two of them with some miscommunication in there. So they're already setting up for the breakup between Zoe Starks and Trish. So I got to believe that Trish loses here, and then we see the breakup and Trish goes away.
So I feel like the one thing about this card that I don't like so far is there should be fun matches. And hey, it's not a pay-per-view. We're not, you get it with Peacock. I feel like it's a little predictable. Like I kind of know who's going to win most of these matches. We've only disagreed on one match, and I kind of am leaning towards what you said. But Seth Rollins versus Nakamura, main event, world title. You got to go with Seth. But I'm going to tell you an idea that you might have just convinced me of that's a possibility. Damian Priest becomes the babyface, and he gets kicked out and he gets turned on. He would probably be better off to cash in on a heel champion.
So the funny thing is I'm not predicting Seth.
Wow.
I'm predicting Nakamura. I think Seth actually needs surgery or needs to rest that back. And I think that the reason why they told you all of this ahead of time is I think Nakamura is going over. So they wanted that built-in excuse of how beat up Seth is. And then I do think that Damian Priest is going to cash in on Nakamura.
Hey, can I just say something? As much as I love Seth and I respect Seth as a wrestler, Nakamura getting at least one run with a WWE championship seems fair. Like that should have to happen in his career. The guy's too talented.
Yeah, Nakamura has been a champion everywhere he's gone. He is a tremendous talent. When you let him be the heel that he's being now, he's even better than usual. So this is fantastic.
I agree. And like I said, a tremendous talent. And if you want to talk about tremendous talents,
read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harrison, Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.